Welcome everyone to another episode of the world's greatest news and reviews.
Giving you opinions about nerd stuff is our superpower.
I'm Captain Mao.
I'm Hailstorm.
And I'm Weapon 2. We float like butterflies. We sting like a bee. Better watch out. We're TWG.
God damn.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Best-
The only reason I went with B is because I couldn't find anything to rhyme with Murder Hornet.
Well played. And thank you for joining us on episode 19 of the world's greatest podcast. And for you YouTube viewers, your eyes do not deceive you. For the first time in many, many episodes, we actually have a special guest joining us today. Hello, sir. Introduce yourself.
My name is Soulstar.
Soulstar, welcome to the show. Are you excited?
I'd say I'm pretty excited, yeah.
You seem pretty excited.
I'm super excited. So excited.
So go ahead, Weapon 2. For those of you guys wondering, there's some backstory here. Go for it.
Well, Soulstar is our son. He's not all three of our sons.
I had nothing to do with the process of creating him. I hope that I'm going to have a hand in forging him as a podcaster moving forward. But I didn't help make him. That would be weird.
Hailstorm and Weapon 2 are involved in raising this young lad over here. He is both a superhero from that gets his power from the sun that all the planets in the solar system rotate around, keeps us warm, keeps things growing. It's nice. Sun's pleasant.
I'm not saying he's the Greek god Apollo, but you know he's pretty close.
I mean,
Yeah.
I might be.
You might be. I mean, we don't know that you're not. It has not been confirmed.
Right.
So, and there is another amazing thing about Soulstar. There's a thing that's happening in his life on the 1st of June. What's that?
Yeah, what's going down?
I'm going to be sent to San Diego to go through boot camp to be a Marine.
You're going to be a Marine?
Yes.
Just like John Cena.
He's going to be in the Marine Corps, folks.
Actually, that shit is pretty awesome, man. I don't know if congrats is what you say to that, but good luck. Depending on when you guys are watching this, he might be there already, so...
Yeah. Or done.
Or done.
Who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah.
You might already come back.
If you wait that long,
I could be 32 when you're watching this.
Yeah.
You don't know.
you never know.
You're going to be back from boot
We
camp.
could all be gone. Yeah. I mean, if you wait too long.
We'll give it however long boot camp takes, and you can rewatch this when you're like Jack Tan and juicy as fuck. So, but yeah, so this should be a lot of fun. We have a viewer requested top 5 countdown, a Patreon requested top 5 countdown from Amanda. I'm gonna butcher the last name.
LaCroix.
Amanda LaCroix. We are gonna give you our top 5 series finales of all time. So across all different types of the television series, which 5 stuck to us the most, which ones had the greatest impact on us. A hard list to come up with. Spoilers, there's a lot more really shitty finales. Maybe we'll do that on the next podcast. But as always, we're going to start with some news. So... first news story that we have actually came kind of out of nowhere is if you guys follow the Arrowverse at all, you know the latest series that started there is Batwoman. It's just wrapped its first season, or it's about to wrap its first season. She was a part of the big Arrowverse crossover, The Crisis on Infinite Earths. And Ruby Rose is playing the lead, and she's leaving. She's getting the hell out of Dodge. After one season, she is one and done. She's leaving the show, leaving the Arrowverse. Kind of weird, because this is like the kind of role, obviously she's been in other movies, but this is like a big role. This is one of those like career-making roles. This can potentially be like a very long-lasting job. So what do you guys think? I don't watch Batwoman. I've seen parts of it. It's kind of cheesy. It wasn't really for me. I'm just pissed that it wasn't Batgirl, but... it's kind of weird. It's abrupt. The sources were citing it's a difference in like work schedule, and she was unhappy on the show, and people weren't happy with her, so it was a mutual thing. But what do you think, Weapon 2? Do you think this is odd?
So, well, here's the thing. I also haven't watched much. I mean, I think I've only watched it with the crossover stuff, and I've never watched Batwoman. I've heard a lot about what's going on. Now, she was injured pretty bad a couple times. Mm-hmm. She says that's not the reason that she's quit. I do know that she's got a lot of criticism, and the show's got a lot of criticism. And I think that sometimes when you're... I mean, some of the people that I know who have said that they do watch the show say that, I mean, you can see that her injuries have taken a toll on her because she's kind of stiff and she doesn't do the moves. And when her body double comes in, you can see the difference with the way. And I think that I think that maybe when you took some wear and tear and you're not getting paid that much and you're getting tons of criticism, it can just make you feel like you don't want to keep doing it. And I think some of the criticism that I've heard is they say that the show doesn't have great writing, but I don't think that all of the CW shows have great writing. I think that it's kind of a loyalty thing. People just become attached to the show itself.
But I think a big turnoff of the entire thing when it started was a lot of people wanted a Batgirl show. They wanted a Barbara Gordon show. She's by far the more popular character. A lot of people haven't even heard of Batwoman. So that's what kind of got me. Like, she's a great actress from what other things I've seen her in. But yeah, I just couldn't get into the show. Have you guys checked it out at all?
I haven't checked it out, but I think, they're real people. Actors are real people, and any job can be made or broken by your coworkers. Yeah. So if she doesn't like it and it's physically demanding and people don't like her,
and if she's getting bashed on, like they're people.
Yeah.
Something hearing like, hey, you're giving your all to something, and it's like we've got a couple of shitty YouTube comments, and I'm just like, sitting there drinking myself, crying, and worrying,
It does make it harder to do the things that you have to do, and every job is a job, but it makes it way harder to do that job if you don't feel like you're liked, respected, whatever motivates you. So, I mean, I don't have to watch it to know. It probably sucks for her, and that's why she's deciding.
That's probably why she's bouncing out.
Right. Sounds like there's a number of reasons.
Yeah. Have you checked out the show, Soulstar?
I watched a couple of episodes.
How was it? What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty good. I think that I just hit a spot in probably season 2-ish that I kind of got bored of it, I would say. But the first, I'm sure I've heard very good things.
Been one season?
Yeah, there's one season. Yeah,
Which
one?
Batgirl
Which
or
one are you
Batwoman.
watching?
Okay, never mind. No, I haven't seen that one. I thought.
Have you seen? You've seen other Arrowverse shows though?
Yes.
What Arrowverse shows have you watched?
Arrow.
Okay. Yeah, because I've seen Arrow, Flash, Legends, and I think that's it. And I've fallen off. But you're right though. Even the ones that are good, even like Flash can be good at times. Arrow can be good. But they're 23 freaking episodes long, which is way too long for an hour-long show. So you're right. They hit these like little patches of like 4 or 5 episodes where it's just boring and filler, and you could tell like it's not the A team of writers, and you're just like, I don't care what's happening. Can we get to the main plot? And like, so like you have to do that with characters and shows that you already like. Now, if it's a character that you don't particularly care for, or a show that's still finding its footing, so to speak, that's what I've heard from people, is that it's not the greatest in terms of writing, but they could all be cheesy as hell. Arrow specifically can be cheesy as hell.
Oh yeah.
But then sometimes it makes me cry because it's so good.
It can be hard to keep up that momentum when, in order to keep up with the entire Arrowverse, there's a lot of shows.
Which is why like Supergirl, I just couldn't, and like Black Lightning, I couldn't, because it's just too much. And like now there's gonna be a Superman and Lois show, and it's like I'm happy Arrow ended, because now I'm just like, cool, now I don't have to watch it anymore. And I haven't even finished the season of Flash or Legends, and I'm just like, do I need to? I was like, nah, I get it. Barry ran it some shit. It was fine,
You start feeling like you have to check in because you don't want to miss out, especially because then they have these crossovers and everything. But it gets overwhelming.
The last couple of years, literally, I was behind on every show, and I had to binge watch all of them just to catch up for the crossover.
Yeah.
Because the crossovers are awesome. It's total nerd fan service, but
yeah.
But I think that there's a point, if they keep making more and more shows, where it becomes impossible to watch them all.
It's gonna be,
And I mean, I understand wanting to have a lot of different things and a lot of things that people can relate to, but you got to be careful, because if it's too much, people can't watch all that stuff.
Yeah, you can have too much of a good thing for sure.
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to have a bunch of different types of shows to hit all the different types of demographics, and they don't care if you watch every single one, but if you watch enough of them, you're going to want to watch the crossover. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's what they're doing.
Crossover, you're like,
it's not going to make any sense.
Watch them all.
Yeah, but
I mean, as a person who watches the crossovers
and nothing else,
caught up with anything. Yeah, I know.
Definitely interesting, shocking news. I don't think anybody was really, from outside of working on the show, was really kind of expecting this. But sticking with DC, one of my biggest annoyances has been the movement online of release the Snyder Cut for the Justice League. So if you guys don't know, the Justice League movie came out, I think 2017? I don't care when it came out. It came out, and Zack Snyder was, directing it. He was like involved in the process. This whole trilogy, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League, this is all his baby, all his vision. Well, because of the backlash of negative responses that Batman v Superman had, The studio pushed for a lighter tone to make it more jokey. He suffered a death in the family. Zack Snyder did, so he stepped down. They brought in Joss Whedon to do rewrites and reshoots. And what you ended up with was a clusterfuck of a movie. Tonally, it was all over the place. Almost to the point where, like, scene by scene, you could tell who directed what. It really felt like a cut-up mess of a movie. So, because of that, everybody's like, release the Snyder Cut, which we've previously talked about on the show, saying that that's never going to happen because that movie wasn't done. They would have to reshoot it. They'd have to re-edit. They're going to have to put money into this when there's no point.
I always wondered if there really was a Snyder Cut.
Well, he didn't finish the movie. There's a version of the script that is just, that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
As far as making the movie happen, Warner Brothers would have to put a lot of money into something that, I'm sorry, it didn't make a lot of money back. But apparently, for some freaking reason, it's happening. So HBO Max is a thing that's happening. If you guys have HBO Go, HBO Now, and you're confused, join the club. Another app is coming out that's going to have DC content on it. And one of the big announcements that was made very recently is that the Snyder Cut is going to hit it in 2021. I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I'm going to refer to you guys first. Weapon 2.
About the
Snyder Cut. What do you think of the Snyder Cut and everything?
He says that the Snyder Cut is 4 times as long as the movie itself.
Yeah.
So
that means you got to get the actors. They're saying the cast and everybody's coming back to do it.
Here's the thing. I don't know what to expect. I mean, I'm skeptical when somebody says, hey, you didn't like this thing, but I had all the answers and it was perfect for me. It's almost like you're hyping it up. I think I made a comment on our Facebook page that I don't know about, there's so much hype behind this and so much expectations that we're going to go, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever, that I don't know if it's going to live up to it.
It's not.
That's scary.
Here's what's stupid. This just like the release of Snyder Cut thing just became like the trendy nerd thing to say, which was stupid as hell, because here's the thing. You know the movie that had people pretty much split 50-50 whether you liked it or not? Man of Steel.
Yeah.
You know what movie the vast majority of people didn't like? Batman v Superman. Now, I'm in the camp of I loved both of those movies. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people didn't. A lot of people gave those movies a lot of shit, and those were sole Zack Snyder's vision. So you mean to tell me that these 2 things that you didn't like, you think somehow magically this third thing is going to be exactly what you want? No. Would it be better than the actual Justice League we got? Maybe. No, I think it will be because it'll be one person's vision. But is it going to be a good movie? Probably not.
Here's what I think. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to be a bad movie because I didn't hate those 2 movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so
okay.
I think it's going to be an okay movie. But here's what I think. I don't.
Well, most people like it.
If you think you're going to get something way different than those 2 movies, you're not.
No.
And it's amazing to me that the people who start putting out this thing like he did about, oh my God, you got to see what I did. It's the greatest. You guys are going to love it. It's what you guys have always been hoping for. But he's made 2 movies. If you loved those movies, well, there's a good chance you're going to love this. If you hated them, don't think that you're automatically going to love this, okay? I thought those were good movies. I enjoyed them. So I have a feeling that I will enjoy this. Do I think it's going to live up to the Snyder Cut?
No,
absolutely not.
Okay, Soulstar, what do you think? What do you think about the DC movies? Did you like them? Did you like where they were going? What do you think? That's about right. That reaction. That's about right.
I'll leave it at that. That's all you're gonna get.
Yeah.
That's my
enough.
exact. Yeah.
So I read that today, and I didn't research it or go farther. I read that they were willing to put 30 to 40 million into this. Did you read that?
I did not. No, they've been releasing lots of news the last couple of days about it.
So
which is about probably what you would need to finish it.
Yeah, I read that they were willing to put a lot of money into it, and my opinion is if they're willing to put a lot of money into it and they're not asking me for money unless I want to go see it when it comes out, let them remake it.
No, but they're going to release it straight to the HBO Max app. So what they want, they're not releasing this theatrically. Well, they might later, but so far it's going to debut on HBO Max. So what they're wanting is people to buy that app.
That's what they're think that once they get, I mean, the budget is one thing. I mean, if it goes over budget at all, they're going to have to recoup that money.
I can promise you they'll release it theatrically at some point.
Yeah.
But
I just think, Blade Runner was another movie where
that had
there was
18 different cuts.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. But there was the director's cut, and then there was the theatrical release, and everybody has their favorite version, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, if he had a vision and he can get the backing, let him remake it. People will love it and people will hate it, just like everything else.
regardless, most people will see it just to make their opinion. They'll go, it's Snyder Cut. I got to see it. I got to see the Snyder. We've been talking about it for years now.
I've heard of this.
It's definitely getting like media attention and like online attention, which is exactly what they want. But the other thing is, what if this is amazing? They're not really moving forward with that universe anymore. They're not moving forward. Like, most of those actors have left. So like, it doesn't matter. They don't know what the hell they're doing. This circles back to the whole problem of the studio not knowing what the hell they're doing. So
right.
like, it's frustrating more than anything still to me as a fan.
But they're still fans. And so at least there's something.
Yeah, I'm bitching up a storm. I'm going to watch it. Like, I'm totally going to watch it. I hope it's good, but it probably will. It'll probably be better, like we said, but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all I got for news. You guys got anything else you want to throw out there?
I don't
Nothing.
think so.
Slow news week.
I'm surprised we got these two stories, and these came out the last couple of days, so I'm actually pretty happy. So, all right, so let's move on to our top 5 countdown. So, as we said earlier, the top 5 countdown is going to be the top 5 best TV series finales of all time. This also includes streaming and all that kind of stuff. So, Soulstar, do you want to start or do you want to go last?
You want me to start with number 5? Correct?
Number 5, yeah, and then count up to 1.
I'll start.
Okay.
All right. Number 5, I'm going to go with Parks and Recreation.
Ooh.
Okay.
Nice.
It had a pretty interesting finale. It was, if you haven't seen it, they kind of... all the characters, it's them in the future. I believe the year 2025-ish, somewhere around there. It's the future. You get to see where they've progressed in their careers and all of that stuff. It's good, but it's just good, I'll say. It doesn't really, there's not much of an emotional roller coaster, which I like to have at finales, where you get a conclusion of where they're at and everything. It's just kind of cute. I'll say that.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, and this is kind of the conversation we were having before we started the podcast, is with finales, it's hard to pick good ones because most of the time, like you said, you don't have a sense of fulfillment. You're not going to please everybody. Most shows have gone on longer than they probably should have, so the writing's not as good. Or you didn't want it to end. So getting a good sense of closure is hard. So the point you made is great, is just like most finales, if they're just kind of okay, usually that's just all you can hope for. You know?
Exactly.
So good pick.
All right. So my number 5 is one I think that was when it happened, it was talked about for forever. And I mean, I think still it makes top lists all the time, whether that's a top 10 or a top 20, as series finales that are notable, whether it's best or worst. And that is the Sopranos season finale.
I've seen this on both lists too. Yeah.
Because people felt very strongly one way or the other, which again, if you're not familiar, it was a show about a mobster family, and it gave them more layers than your typical movies that we've seen in the past. It showed them as people who might have problems with the lifestyle that they live. The main character, Tony Soprano, goes to therapy, and you see him with his therapist, and kind of this interesting balance of being this head of this crime family, but also being a father and dealing with all the things that his life means. So but the huge craziness about that series finale is that the end scene, they just fade to black, literally just fade to black, and there's not questions aren't answered.
Don't they end like mid-sentence or something?
Yeah. You see some people and you're supposed to be like, oh, who are these people? Because you don't know who they are. And the ambiguity is that they could be hitmen, they could be, I mean, you don't know if it faded to black because that was Tony Soprano dying. You don't know anything. But I liked that. I liked the ambiguity. I liked that you could kind of take it wherever you wanted it to go in your own head, whether that was, well, he gets killed now and that's it. But there were a lot of people that weren't happy with that. I liked it. It's
nice.
my number 5.
Awesome. All right, my number 5, Seinfeld. So this is another one that you either kind of really liked or you really didn't like. Yep. I really, really liked it. So this, my humble opinion, is the greatest sitcom of all time. And the finale centered around a new law in the city they're in called the Good Samaritan Law. Basically, they see a dude getting mugged and just talk shit the entire time. inadvertently get recorded doing so and all get arrested and tried. They get their lawyer, who's awesome. And so the thing about this finale that makes it great is every single previous like guest star that had like a memorable character shows up to testify against them. And so it's like this guy, I believe it was a 2-parter, and it's a great trip down memory lane. They reference old shows and do it in a very like real way that didn't feel forced to get all these characters back for the finale. And it ends with them getting sentenced to jail for a year. And a lot of people didn't like that, but at the same time, they're not great people. Like, if you really look at it, like, they're not the best people, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But I thought it was a very, very memorable finale. I loved seeing all the recurring characters from previous seasons stuff come back. I thought it was great. I thought it was really, really funny. Like, some of the funniest moments of dialogue in that entire series happened in the last 2 episodes. So a lot of people were turned off by them going to jail. I thought it worked, and Seinfeld's my number 5.
I loved that one.
Thank you.
Nice. That was a good one. Well, on my list, you're going to find that I have things that were not really that great of series, but the finale was amazing. You have things that are just good series that I liked the way they ended. I was happy with the way it ended, and then some that were good series that I really enjoyed. The endings were great. So they're all over the place. Some of these are old-timey because I'm old. I'm just going to give you a disclaimer on that.
Spoilers.
And for a perfect example of that, my first one is Newhart.
The fuck is that?
The finale. Now,
At least it's not I Love Lucy.
Bob Newhart is an old guy, and he's still alive. I believe, to the best of my knowledge. And he...
I don't think so.
What?
I don't think so.
I think that he might be. I'll have to Google that. Anyways, he had a show originally that I was in through the 70s. I think it might have started as early as the 60s, and it was called the Bob Newhart Show. And in this show, he was a psychologist, and he had a wife, and I think he was in New York and had a whole practice, and it was a sitcom based around that. Then that show ended, and he had a new show called Newhart. Newhart was set in, I think, Wisconsin.
I thought it was Rhode Island.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Wisconsin, Rhode Island. I think that maybe I'm right, but that's okay. Or Vermont. It might be in Vermont.
Oh, maybe Vermont.
I think it's Vermont,
I'm
probably.
closer, though.
Anyways, he runs like an inn where they're in a little quaint town. He's him and his wife run an inn, and it's a sitcom based around that. Now, that
It is Vermont, rural Vermont.
Okay,
Vermont.
It was just a regular sitcom. It was a kind of thing where, you only had 3 networks. It was something that came on. It was successful enough to stay on the air and funny enough for the time. But when it comes to the finale, here's where the genius comes in. So, in the finale of Newhart, there's a rich Japanese guy who comes in, wants to buy the whole town and turn it into a golf course. Everybody else sells out because this is, okay, I think this is back in the 80s. He's giving everybody $1 million for their houses, okay? So, of course, everybody else sells. He decides he doesn't want to sell. 5 years later, he's in the middle of a golf course. It's built all the way around his inn. He's not getting any business. Golf balls are hitting the inn all the time. Everybody comes back that sold all their properties, these millionaires, and they all decide they want to live in his inn now, and he couldn't really stand any of the people anyways. So the way this ends is he yells, "You're all crazy. I'm getting out of here." A golf ball comes swinging in, hits him in the head. He gets knocked out. Now he wakes up in his bed of the psychologist of the previous sitcom that he had with the previous wife, and he's telling her about this dream he just had about being an innkeeper in Vermont, and she says that's the last time you eat Japanese food before you go to bed because it was Japanese.
So it was all just a dream?
Yeah.
So it was all just a dream.
Series.
And so then, and there's a little bit of a Wizard of Oz theme to this, because then as he's going through his life, he's meeting all these people that were in his dream as these characters throughout the day. So for me, the genius of this, which I've never seen anywhere before, was they tied, and they even brought back the music from his previous sitcom and all the kind of things. So they brought in a show that he was in way before to be the finale of the show that he ended. And for me, I think that's pretty genius.
Nice.
For a show. Yeah. So that's why Newhart is my number 5.
Wasn't Newhart the show that brought us Larry, Daryl, and Daryl?
Yes. This is I'm Larry, and this is my brother Daryl and my other brother Daryl.
Yep.
Who never spoke throughout all the years of this.
Only Larry spoke.
Until the finale, when they come back as the millionaires, and they have these wives from like the Jersey Shore or something, these loud wives who won't be quiet, and the only words they ever speak is both the brothers Daryl scream quiet at their wives because they won't be quiet. That's the only words they ever speak in the entire thing.
Nice.
Tell them, scream at their wives, tell them to be quiet.
I do want to interject that I was wrong. Bob Newhart is still alive. He's 90.
There you go. I was right about all the things involved in this. I want to go on the record. There we go.
So you were right about your pick. Wow. Good job. Soul Star.
All right, my number 4 was Community.
I love you.
Okay, I love this show. Community is probably one of my. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say it's my favorite show. It's my favorite TV.
Bold statement.
Soul Star, how many times have you watched that series?
4 or 5 times through, which is amateur.
How many seasons are there?
There are 6 seasons.
Jesus.
And possibly a movie coming out. So hashtag 6 seasons in a movie. But I chose Community.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
I was telling him that's a real hashtag.
Oh, yeah, it's a real thing. So I chose Community for number 4 because, well, I did thoroughly enjoy the whole premise of it. It's very simple. Everybody's leaving. They've spent so if you don't know Community, they're 7 friends at a community college who are just kind of going through their lives at a community college, and a lawyer who's got to get degree. So the first 4 seasons, they're in their, freshman through senior years, obviously. And then the last 2 seasons are a little bit, they're not the best. They're not the greatest. But I personally didn't like season 5 and season 6 so much. And season 4 is obviously the gas leak year. If you watch Community, you'll know what that's about. But so the finale it just sends them off. 2 really, really good characters that I loved, Abed and who's the other one? Alison Brie's character.
Ooh, Alison Brie's in this?
Yes.
Annie.
Ooh, I love
Annie.
her. I might watch this.
How did you know that and I didn't know that?
Because you watched it 4 times and I live with you.
All right. So Abed and Annie are sent off, and it's just cute. Throughout the whole show, there's a little bit of chemistry between Annie and Jeff. And it's never really resolved. And that's the one thing that I will it disrupted me a little bit because I loved that little kind of romance that they had. But they did kiss at the end of, at the season finale. And that was it though. Then everybody came and they hugged. That whole scene was great. I also love the post-credits, or not post-credit scene, the little scene at the end of the actual episode itself.
Which they always do, right?
Right, every single episode is like that.
Yeah.
But the one in this one, it's a TV show, or not a TV show, sorry. It's an advertisement for a board game called Community the board game, and it's just a cute little advertisement, but it's so hilarious to me and I die laughing every single time I watch it. And it's this family playing the board game, and the goal of the game is to figure out what the board game is. So if it's like, is the board game canon, is the board game like part of the show or whatever. And in the end, the little kid finds a tiny little script of the advertisement that they're in. And they start freaking out, and the dad goes, don't you realize what this means? We don't exist. And they have this little existential crisis, and then the camera pulls away, and there's the little narrator in the background, at the end of advertisements where it's like, not recommended for children under the age of 14 or whatever. It's this little guy, and it's basically just ranting from Dan Harmon talking about how horrible it was that the show had to get moved to Yahoo when it was doing so well, apparently, because they figured out later that they had this huge fan base. I just think it's hilarious. So I wish I could put it higher on my list, but I'm gonna have to stick it at number 4 just because of the lack of conclusion in Annie and Jeff's romance.
Oh.
There we
Yes.
go.
See, okay, so I've never seen
Seal
this
the
show,
deal.
but
Number 4 because they couldn't seal the deal.
based on your level of excitement, you could tell like how much you love the show. So the entire time you're talking, I was like, well, why isn't this higher? But you actually explained why. Well played, sir.
Nice.
Thank
That's
you.
what I
Thank you.
appreciate about you. All right, Hailstorms.
All right, so my number 4 was a show from another show from a few years ago, 6 Feet Under. It was on HBO, I think, wasn't it? So if you're not familiar with this show, this was a show following a family who was taking over their father's mortuary, right? Mortuary.
I've never seen
Yes.
it. I just knew it was on HBO.
Mortuary. So the whole show starts. The first episode is their father has just been killed in a car accident, and every episode starts with somebody dying because this family, is. They deal with that. That's what they do. But then it also
biz
has,
they're in.
yeah, it's the biz they're in. But it also has like how they deal as a family, how they interact. There's a lot of things going on in their family. But the season finale started out tough. But what I love about the season finale is that at the very end they show how everybody in the family dies. And that sounds
depressing.
really depressing, but it's not because everybody dies in a different way, but you see that even though some of the characters had a lot of turmoil and a lot of, sadness and things looked really bleak for them, because the episode starts, the brother of the family has just been killed. Mm-hmm. So, that actually happens a couple episodes before the season finale, but he has been killed. And so everybody's dealing with his death and they're all having a really hard time. Like the mom is just feeling like she can't go on. And, so it seems like the episode things are going to be pretty bleak for this family. But when they end it, they're showing you that they keep going on, and most of them die of old age. Not all of them, but it just it ties the whole, I think it was 6 seasons. It ties it all together in a way that makes you feel like they were going to be okay, even though the whole run of the show, they dealt with some pretty yucky stuff.
So you actually got some closure?
Yeah, and I like that in
yeah.
a show. I like that you end feeling like it's over, but it's okay.
Right.
Yeah. So I really like that season finale.
Nice. All right, my number, we got 4? My
Yep.
number 4, Breaking Bad. All right, so Breaking Bad is one of my favorite shows. I feel like a lot of people love that show.
Yep.
One, masterclass in acting. The character arc of Walter White from season 1 to 5 is unbelievable. He's unrecognizable in season 5 and 4. It's ridiculous. What is the actor's name who plays Walter White? It's escaping me. Damn it, I'm usually so good
Every
at the
time
names.
you ask questions, my mind goes totally blank.
Bryan Cranston.
Yes.
God, he's amazing and everything. Now, the show is fantastic, and the show builds and builds and builds and builds and gets better every season. And I want to say props to the creator, because he had a 5-year plan, and the show was at the peak of its popularity in season 5. And AMC wanted to keep it going, but he's like, I have a story to tell. This is a story I'm telling. So as such, this show ended before it started. It stuck around for too long. You know what I mean? It ended when it needed to end. And the thing that I liked about this is it didn't wrap up everything in a neat little bow. It took care of the things that it could, because it was Walter White basically on his last leg trying to make things as right as he could. He couldn't reconcile with his family because, his kids and everybody still hated him because he was an outlaw, wanted for selling meth and all that. But he set them up the best that he could with the money, and with the best lines ever is when he goes to the people he used to be partners with and his company Gray Matter, and I love how they're not fighters at all, and he just breaks into their house and the dude lifts the knife up and he's like, if we're going to go that route, you're going to need a much bigger knife. I was like, oh, baller. And he sets them up. He like totally plays them, like pretends there's an assassin on them to make sure that they give his money and only his money to his family, like pretend like they donated it. That was great. He goes and frees Jesse.
But he's also not a tough guy, so that was awful.
It was all bullshit.
It was an awful lot of bravado.
But that is why he's awesome, because he's standing in previous seasons, like in the desert, nutting up on cartel members, like, what's my name? Say my name. He's like, motherfucker, they could just murder you. Like, that's all him just being a badass in persona. You know, that's what the whole show is made about, you know? And so he rescues Jesse. He makes that makeshift machine gun, which is awesome. He gives Jesse the opportunity to shoot him, which he doesn't take, which is great also. Jesse gets the hell out of Dodge.
He actually wants Jesse to shoot.
He does, because he wants to die. He owes it to let Jesse do it.
But I also like that Jesse's like, no, you got to figure this out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
he said, do it yourself.
Yeah.
Because he saw he was shot, and he just basically goes, I'm not giving you what you want.
Exactly.
Because they just had beef right there.
They did. Yeah. My favorite line almost in the entire series is when he's actually having the conversation with Skylar, and he's like, I just want you to know that everything I did, and she cuts him off, and she's just like, don't you dare say you did it for us, you did it for the family. He's like, I did it for me. And there's just this pause. He's like, I liked it, and I was good at it.
And that is when that's when he first had realization. You know, through
I don't even think he knew that until that point.
Yeah, I mean, and that was honest. That was the truth.
And that's why she appreciated it so much. And because that's the thing is, like, he is the definition of someone who is underachieving in life. He is brilliant and should not be a cheap ass fucking physics teacher or chemistry teacher. You know, dying of cancer. His family's gonna be broke and all that. So everything he did, and then he got a taste of the power and the respect and what his name commanded and being phenomenal at something, you know, even if it's making meth. But that's the kind, he should have been achieving that his entire life. And so he loved the power. There were several times throughout the show he could have walked away a rich fucking man, but didn't. Another famous line that I love in season 5 is like Jesse's asking him, like, what are you in? You in the money business? You in the drug business? He's like, I'm in the empire business. God damn it. It's a good show. But anyway, so the finale wraps up, and I love the last scene. As he's bleeding out, the cops are coming. He's admiring the meth lab. He passes out. Baby Blue starts playing. It ends, and he dies, and it was fitting because he needed to. And he wrapped up the things he could wrap up. Jesse's story was actually continued on the Netflix movie El Camino. Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Pretty good. It was just like a 2-hour episode of Breaking Bad. Nothing crazy happened, but that was good as well. But Breaking Bad, I feel, in terms of giving you closure, gave you closure, and it didn't wrap everything up in a neat little bow, but it did what it could.
What I was gonna say.
Yeah, it did what it
didn't wrap it up in a neat little bow.
But it did what it felt real. Like that's as good as he can get it, and it was great. So that's why it's my number 4.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good pick.
Thank you.
My number 4 is about the 4077th Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. In Korea.
It's fucking MASH?
Yep. Fucking MASH.
The best shows, and I think that we're going to see this through everything. The best shows.
I watched it with my grandpa.
That is about
trying to hurt him like that.
I mean, any show that you're going to care about. I mean, there's plenty of sitcoms where people just spout off silly quips and jokes throughout the whole thing, and they're fun to watch. But I think the ones that you really care about and get invested in are the ones about characters and about the people, because no matter what it's centered around or what the universe it's in or what's going on, it's really about the people, and it's about the people interacting, and you have to care about the people and what's going on. And in MASH, the series went on longer than the Korean War itself.
For real?
Yeah.
It did. And there's a whole cast of characters that come in and leave. You got Trapper John and Radar and Colonel Blake.
Trapper John's a different show.
What's that? Trapper. Well, Trapper is the original before Winchester comes in.
Yeah,
or
but I
before
don't think
Honeycutt.
his name was Trapper John.
I think his name was Trapper. It wasn't Trapper John. I added that. You're right. You're wrong. It was Trapper. Anyways, that was the one that was his buddy before Honeycutt came in. And then later on, you got Klinger came in. And everybody else, and so you had these characters that, of course, because it was so long, had come in, and then new characters came in to replace them. And the thing about this was the characters were so likable. It did have this reality of being in war, but you know, it's not a typical war film where or program where everybody's run around and shoot and stuff like that. So it's a hospital, so it's about kind of the the less glorious side of war, when you see people coming in and they have to treat the people who are wounded all the time and save the lives and cope with this with each other, everything that's going on, being over here away from their family with all this stuff that's going on for all these years, and you really care about these people. And in the last episode, you see Hawkeye, who is pretty much throughout the series, he's kind of the happy-go-lucky, just saying jokes and drinking gin they're making out in their barracks and all this, in their tent and all this. So you see this going on. And in the last episode, you see where he's in a mental health hospital. He's having some issues. He has to get that sorted out through a psychiatrist, where he realizes that he can't figure out why he's there or what happened. And the sad part is that you realize that there was an enemy patrol coming, and they had jumped inside this bus, and they're hiding, and they're trying to be quiet. They're going to get killed if the enemy hears them. And in his memory, there was some noise on there. He can't remember what it was. And then he decides it was a chicken. And then the person with the chicken had to keep it quiet. And then he realizes they had to smother it to keep it quiet. And it was the baby. It was a baby that was on there. So he's going through all this trouble, and they're trying to get out of there. And they're trying to say goodbye at the end because the war ends. And Honeycutt doesn't know how to say goodbye, so he won't tell Hawkeye goodbye. And it's the way they wrap up. And there's just a long it's a 2-hour program where they're showing how their plans on when they get out and what they're looking forward to, and how this is all going to be resolve itself. And Klinger, who from the time he started on the program used to dress in dresses because he was trying to get out on a Section 8 and get out of the military, and he wanted to get out of Korea and go back to Toledo, winds up marrying somebody, a Korean woman, and she can't leave until she finds her family. So the guy who was always trying to get back home decides he's going to stay in Korea. There's all these kind of things. And so the very last scene is when Honeycutt gives Hawkeye a ride to the top of the hill so he can catch his helicopter. He can't say goodbye, and so he won't let the words come out of his mouth. So he says, "Hey, I left you a note," and just points at the ground and drives off. And when Hawkeye flies up in the helicopter, it says goodbye spelled out on the rocks on the field. So if you're not attached to it the way people who had watched it, and when you're back then, you didn't get to binge watch stuff like this. You had to look forward to the next episode every single week. And so it was kind of a thing that you kind of grew up with these characters throughout. So they're like almost like part of your family. Instead of this being something, hey, I'm just going to binge watch this thing in a couple weekends, you grow up through all these years with these people. So it was a good ending for that. It was a super, at that time for almost everybody, I think, it was a really powerful ending to that series. So that's my number 4, MASH.
Nice.
All right.
Number 3.
Number 3. All right. So mine's a little bit different for number 3. I went with Adventure Time. It's a cartoon on Cartoon Network. So I had to include Adventure Time. It was a show that I kind of grew up on. I'm a little bit younger than you guys, just by a couple of years. So
to be fair, how old are you?
Don't make him say
I'm
it.
18 years old.
You're 18.
I'm
You're
18.
in your senior year of high school right now.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
For
Okay.
context.
I'm going to drink more.
So Adventure Time, the entire show really is just there's so much to it, and growing up on it, it's such a great show to teach you really a lot of stuff like morals and all of that. It's just really a cute show, and the finale was just that, very cute. I mean, there was a war that was going on in the season 10, and you're kind of seeing how that progressed out from the viewpoint of BMO speaking to people from the future. And BMO's talking about how his best friend, I think he accidentally said Phil instead of Finn, because it's been so long that BMO doesn't even remember what his best friend's name is, which I think is adorable, because it just shows you how long this story is continuing to be told. But overall, honestly, it's cute. That's the biggest thing that you can say. It's just like the show. It's just kind of, it's a good wrap up to a really good show.
Nice.
So that's why it's number 3. It's right in the middle.
Again, closure, man. Like that's really all you could ask.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah, definitely.
For a series finale, closure is huge.
Yeah, I like that you made him say his age though, because when he's like Adventure Time, I grew up on it, and my brain I was like, didn't that just fucking come out? And I was like, oh boy,
Yeah.
Captain Mal's old.
For years, you were the youngest person.
I realized that I'm not the youngest one on the episode today, and aside from Lockjaw, I don't think that's ever happened. So stop bringing your children here.
You poor thing. You poor thing.
All right, number 3.
All right, so my number 3 is The Office, the American version. I never saw the series finale of the British version, so I don't know what their series finale was. But The Office was a mockumentary style show starring Steve Carell, and it had John Krasinski as these workers. I mean, with other people too, but those are the 2 big names that became big after the show or during the show. Basically following these people in this office building selling paper. After Steve Carell left, the show kind of limped along, I think. But to bring him back for the series finale and to show that he had grown, because he went off and started his own family and finally found the person that he was in love with, and it showed that he had grown enough that he didn't have to be always the guy in front of the camera talking about how great he was. The fact that Meredith's son is the stripper at the party. I mean, just it was a fun way to send everybody off and not be too sad, have some funny moments that made you laugh, even though it was still sad to see the show end. Even if its last 2 years hadn't been that great, it was still a great show.
That show taught me how many sheets of paper are in a ream. Spoilers, 500.
Nice.
Useful
There we go.
information.
Sure. But yeah, good pick.
Dunder Mifflin.
You've
Dunder
never
Mifflin,
worked in
paper
an
company.
office, though.
I never have.
Yeah.
I never would have ever guessed that.
If you had, you would know.
Okay.
Just happens.
Good number 3. I concur. It did kind of dip in quality just a bit. It was still watchable, but it was not
really
quite.
was
He
like
made
the
that
glue.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But good pick. All right. My number 3, Spartacus.
Oh.
So Spartacus is a great show for a lot of reasons. Every season has a subtitle, and this is called War of the Damned. So if you don't know what happened, that's a little foreshadowing. So it's based off the actual gladiator rebellion that happened from 71 to 74 BC, I believe. Maybe 80, one of those. I think it's 71, 80. But anyway, so the show's the most violent, graphic thing you will ever watch. Anybody who's ever said that Game of Thrones is incredibly violent has clearly never seen Spartacus, because holy fucking shit. It is really a mix of like the 300 stylistic kind of fighting, like the over-the-top blood splatter, slow-mo type thing. So if you don't like that, you might not be able to get into the show. They don't do it as much in the first 2 seasons. The last 2 seasons, they get a little too happy with the slow-mo effect, in my opinion. But it was a great show. The thing that makes this show, specifically the first 2 seasons, really good are the characters and the writing and all of the inner politics that happens. And it makes you care about characters that you hated not a few episodes before. But anyway, the thing that it did really cool, if you don't know, like, there were historical precedents for the show. There are information that we have as to the events that actually happened, but there's a lot of things that we don't know. So the show actually included the big historical moments that we know happened, and then just kind of made up their own shit in the in-between, which is really cool because you're still kind of telling the story, but the nonsense stuff you're making up, it's not because you're like, oh, I just want to change it for no reason. It's because we don't know. So like it allowed them creative control while being true to like what happened. The end, they kind of changed a lot of things, but if you don't know what happened, they lost, right? They all fucking die. They all get crucified, right? And so it's interesting because if you're watching this and you know what happened, you're like, okay, that has to happen, but how are they going to do it? How is it going to like emotionally affect me if I know that this is coming? They did a great fucking job, in my opinion, because you know, they get separated as what really happened, and Quixus's army gets destroyed, and you watch him get beheaded in the episode before the finale, so that already puts you in the mood. And then the finale happens, and you see the show of respect between Spartacus and between Marcus Crassus, who he's fighting, and it's rough when they lose, and all of them are getting crucified and just nailed to the cross. And my favorite character in the entire thing is Gannicus. Gannicus was freaking amazing. He's hilarious. And watching him get crucified was literally bringing a tear to my eye. But the thing that I loved about that character was he loved being a gladiator. Like he lived and breathed the fighting and the spectacle and all that. So as he's getting crucified, he looks up and just starts envisioning the arena, just starts seeing the crowd and everybody cheering. And to him, he died a warrior's death, not the honorable way in the sand. He died up on a cross, but he got defeated in battle. You know what I mean? And I think it did as good a send off to the characters that you care about as it can. Spartacus dies. But the great thing is, like, as he's laying there dying, the surviving members of his army here getting the hell out of Dodge tell him that he has forever left his mark on history. You know what I mean? That, like, his rebellion, even though they lost, it's not going to be forgotten. It's going to show everyone that people can stand up to the Roman Empire. And I just think it was as good an ending to a show like that, where you know what's going to happen, could possibly be. Show is utterly rewatchable. It's only 4 seasons, well, like 3.5, because season 2 is a prequel. It's only 6 episodes. If you want like a really, really violent swords and sandals type thing, check out Spartacus. It had closure. I wasn't exactly happy. I was really sad, but it suited it, I believe. I felt like it was the ending it should have had. So that's my number 3.
I didn't watch it, but you took me there.
My number 3 is about a scientist living that school life, players, and he comes down with the cancer.
Oh no!
And he decides. I think originally he really wanted to do the right thing, and he decides that he is an underachiever, as you once said before. And he decides that he wants to start trying to make some money for his family, so they have something before he leaves. And he goes down the road. And he starts Breaking Bad.
Nice.
And the amazing thing for me, is to show the transformation of Walter White into Heisenberg, where he goes from this guy who is a guy who's mild-mannered. He's just
a pushover,
yeah. And he starts out trying to, even though he knows what he's doing is wrong, it's against the law, he feels like he's going to die and his family needs something, and he decides that he needs to put some money away. But he does get addicted to becoming this person that everybody knows about, everybody reveres, everybody has respect for him. He's become somebody, and for him, he's addicted to that. And then that surpasses anything that he cared to do for his family. It all became about him and how great he can be, and how much people respect him, and the kind of reverence and the way people talk about him and think about him. It became all about that. What were we gonna say?
If he would have just shut up, let them kill Jesse, and worked for Gustavo, he would have died a wealthy man. He was making so much money they didn't even know how to hide it and launder it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times where, yes, he could have made the thing that he originally wanted to do happen, but his ego, and this thing about him wanting to become more important kept getting in the way. And it does end in, a way where he's done a lot of bad things. When we say he breaks bad, he does. He becomes a horrible person.
There's a moment where you realize, like, he's not a good guy.
Yeah,
like,
he's not a good guy at all.
I think the exact moment when he crossed the line is when he let Jessica Jones die, when she's just like, dying and like coughing on her own vomit. And he's just like, I just said, and he just gets the hell out of there. It's like, oh, that's not something a good person would do.
Nope.
But it benefited him, and so problem gone.
In the last episode when he tries to save his brother-in-law Hank and gives up $70 million to people, and they take his money. He never finds that money.
No, but Hank had such a great line of that too. He's like, Walter, you're the smartest guy I know, but you're too stupid to see. He made up his mind 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. So they kill Hank anyways. They take all his money. He winds up, like you said, getting revenge at the end and kills a bunch of the other bad guys, because he's a bad person. And his family's right to hate him. And he does the best he can to try to make sure they can have plenty of money, but the money that he was left with,
not nearly what they would have had.
No. But here's the thing. He's leaving them enough money that they'll be comfortable and they'll be fine, which is what he should have done in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then his family would have loved him, because he lost more than he ever could have hoped to have gained, because what was more important to him at the beginning was his family and his family being taken care of, and he loved his family so much. And in the end, they all hated him. Mm-hmm. So that's a sad ending. A good ending way to wrap up that series, though. And that's it. Breaking Bad.
Again, real quick, you want to see a character arc, man. Yeah. There's a scene in the final episode where he like kind of flashes back to him as a teacher, and it's him before any of this happened. And at this point, the transition is so gradual, you don't even feel it. And then when you see that, you're just like, holy shit, he's a different person. Like, it's night and day. Yeah.
Even just physically.
God.
Yeah.
So good. I want to watch it.
I think the best thing about that run of, so there were 3 shows that I always point to that happened around the same time where we were rooting for the bad guy. And that was Breaking Bad, Dexter, and Sons of Anarchy. Mm-hmm. In all 3 of those, the writing was so good that you found yourself rooting for the bad guy. Mm-hmm. Even, I think, Walter White, you started going, yeah, he's really bad, but I mean, I don't know. I want him to be okay at the end of it.
Right.
But when he when the cancer came back and everything, I think this was the best way for him to go.
Yeah. I think of those 3 though, and like, don't say if there's spoilers for your list coming up, but I think Breaking Bad, obviously it didn't go on as long as the other ones, and because of that, it's the only one that, to me personally, the writing didn't dip. Right. The other 2 went on a little too long. But yeah, Breaking Bad. Damn, good pick, sir.
Good one. Good one.
Soulstar.
I definitely need to watch Breaking Bad now.
Yes, you should. Spoilers! He dies.
Fine, I don't care. All right, number 2. So for number 2, I actually did something a little bit less popular than what's probably going on with everybody else's lists. And it is British. So I try to stay away from British TV as much as I can because British TV tends to have a lot better closure. So it would have been easy for me to just snatch all these British TV shows. But this one is The End of the Effing World. The end. You seen it.
I love that show.
I love it so much.
Good.
And the reason that this finale was the reason it's so high up on my list is because while other finales, they'll finish up the arc of a character, or they'll just have a really nice closure for a really nice show. This one was a little bit different. So The End of the Effing World, if you've never seen it, you definitely should. It's on Netflix, by the way. It is about 2 kids, I believe 17, 18.
Yeah, high school.
High school age. One of them believes in the beginning of season 1, he believes, spoilers obviously, but he believes that he is a psychopath.
Oh my God, it's the best thing ever.
It's amazing. He believes he's a psychopath, and he's not. He's just a kid that was kind of a little bit messed up in the head.
Yeah, he's not normal, but
he's pretty messed up. But he brings this girl on a road trip. She's pretty messed up too.
She's fucked up, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. She brings this girl on a road trip. Well, not really a road trip, more of like a they're leaving.
Kind of running
escaping.
away. They both have shitty kind of lives.
Right.
And
they're running away. What ends up happening in season 1 is the girl ends up being assaulted by a man the man that owned the house that they broke into to squat in, and the psychopath, those were quotation marks if you didn't see
for the audio listeners.
Exactly. The psychopath ends up killing the guy who is assaulting her, and that's when he realizes he is definitely not a psychopath.
But so one thing that you left out is the only reason he goes on this and even starts dating her is because he wants to kill her.
Yes, sorry.
His entire thing is he wants to know what it feels like to kill somebody. And then he does it, and it's so not what he thought.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It shouldn't have been funny, but it was very funny.
It completely scars him.
Does he start puking and shit?
I think so.
Oh my God, this is good shit.
He's completely freaking out, and then the rest of the season, really good. I mean, it's not just like the building up where you think he's a psychopath. That's not the best part. Honestly, the best part is when he's killed him, and they're trying to figure out where do we go. The police are after them. All of that.
Because if you watch the trailer, it sets it up like him just thinking he's a psychopath is going to be the entire show. That's like the first few episodes, and then it gets so much better than that. Like,
yeah, it's so good. Season 2 is a little bit different, so I honestly can't remember the characters' names, and that's really bothering me right now.
It's been a minute since I've seen it.
Me too. So season 2 is a little bit different. The boy ends up being arrested, and he gets released or something like that. What was it? Did they figure out that he was And I can't remember
So
the trailer.
I actually haven't seen season 2 yet.
You haven't?
I have no.
Oh,
It's one of those things where I keep meaning to watch it, but I just haven't got to. But go ahead. What happens?
So
So the boy's name is James and the girl is Alyssa.
That's right. So James gets shot at the end of season 1.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. I thought it was wrapped up. I thought it was in because it's very clearly, he's dead.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden season 2 drops. I was like, what the fuck? And I just couldn't.
Because the way that they ended season 1, it was a gunshot, black, straight to black. So that's just kind of like, oh wow, they finished the season there. They finished the entire series with that season. They're done. The guy's dead. Maybe they'll come back with like a movie where like Alyssa's mourning him or something.
And I saw the trailer for 2, and it doesn't show him at all. So I assumed it was he died, and it just keeps going.
And that's the other thing too. I think at the very I can't remember how they played the first couple of episodes, but you're really scrambling to figure out what the heck happened.
Right.
They don't show it right off, which is amazing. But anyways, there's this whole kind of so there's actually a lot to. It's a whole web in season 2, so it's kind of hard to explain. But the basic gist of it is somebody wants to kill. I think she's trying to kill both of them. It might she's trying to kill James and Alyssa. James realizes it. Alyssa does not. By the end of season 2, they've been confronted by the person that was trying to track them down, and they're in a diner, all of this stuff, and eventually the cops come, and there's this emotional breakthrough with the antagonist, the person trying to kill them. And then it goes on to James and Alyssa's relationship. And that's a key point that I kind of left out. James and Alyssa's relationship isn't coming together in season 2. They're trying to figure things out. They're both a little bit mad at each other. Just, their relationship isn't healthy.
No, because even in 1, it's all chaos that brings them together. Like anytime there's a moment of normalcy, you see that shit's not gonna work at all. But then, like you said, some dude breaks in, or like the dude comes home and attacks them, and then crazy shit happens. And then like that, or even like at the end of season 1 when they're with like, what is it, his dad or whatever, or like his family.
Alyssa's dad.
Mm-hmm. And you see how fucked that entire thing is. That pushes them together again. So it's like it's the chaos that brings them together, which is so fucked, but like makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. And this is where we get to the reason that I just loved this finale so much. I tend to stay away from romance a little bit. I love a good love story, or like when there's a little bit of a romance on the side, but I try to stay away from it. I kind of got dragged into this show, but watching it, and getting to the finale. So sorry, I'm explaining this horribly, but the entire
no worse than T Crawler. You're doing fine.
Thank you. This entire show is just a showcase of the worst relationship possible.
It is.
They're way too young. They're moving way too fast.
Oh yeah.
There's people dying.
Their motives are completely wrong. They're both just completely messed up in their head.
They both need therapy.
Oh
like,
yeah, definitely. And by the end of season 2, they get to an agreement almost on where their relationship should go. They agree that they love each other. They agree that they love each other, but they're not going to date or anything until Alyssa goes through therapy. And
holy shit!
Yeah, Alyssa agrees that she needs therapy, and I don't remember if James decided that that's what he needed to. He definitely needs therapy.
He needs
therapy.
Yeah.
He needs all the therapy in the world, but they end up deciding that they need to, take it slow. Mm-hmm. And I think that was cute, turning a completely deranged relationship into this neat little, conclusion where they're, they love each other and they want to take this in a healthy way.
See, but how you said, like, you don't necessarily like, like romances or whatever. The show doesn't feel that way at all. And especially if you just watch the trailer for season 1, you don't think that that's what this show is going to be. It kind of like fucking sneaks that in there all of a sudden. You're like, oh, this is a love story. A really fucked up one, but that's what we're watching now.
The trailer it just covers the first couple episodes of
which
season 1
I love that because so many
murder.
trailers ruin everything.
Yeah.
And that really, like I said, the season 2 trailer, I didn't even know dude was alive still. Now I'm just like, oh, now I have to go watch this because it's actually going to continue that storyline that I want to know what the fuck happened.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Yeah.
I would say... I'd say season 1 is better just because of how the story progressed, but
Right.
season 2, very close.
Nice.
Very close.
Which, by the way, Weapon 2, I know you haven't seen this, right?
That is correct, sir.
But you have seen Wayne, and it is
Yes.
very similar in tone and feel.
Love Wayne.
Yeah, if you like Wayne,
Yeah.
I think you'll like this.
Nice.
So, yeah. Damn, good pick, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So my number 2 was Soul Star's number 5, and that is Parks and Recreation, which happens. It happens.
It's a little bit of overlap's fine.
You know, I am such a huge Leslie Knope fan that I just liked the way it ended things for the characters. Like it was heartwarming. There was still a lot of love at the end for everything, and you got the feeling that they were all still gonna be connected to each other forever. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't know what else to say other than that it was a cute end to a show that you really liked the characters the whole way through.
Nice.
Unless you didn't, in which case I don't care.
I definitely do think that Parks and Rec was one of those shows where you really had to kind of subconsciously pick a character and go, wow, that character's a lot like me, and then just grow into that character, just grow to love them. Because I kind of did that.
To become that character? Or just grow to love
You
them?
have to morph into the
Oh,
character.
okay. All right.
You have to dress up
can't
like
wait to pick
them
which
every
one I'm
time
gonna
the
be.
show.
Physical transformation
But
has to happen.
I mean, there's so many great personalities in that show,
Yes.
and to kind of
Star-Lord.
Ron Swanson.
oh yeah.
No, I'm
No.
not saying that Star-Lord is
Yeah.
Ron Swanson. I'm
Yeah.
saying there's
No,
just
but-
so
but-
many great
But
characters.
he's
Yeah.
in there, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
The more you can,
Ron Swanson is pretty good character.
I mean, so amazing.
yeah, the more that you can kind of find yourself. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of relating to a character
Yeah.
in the show, the better the show is going to be for you. Definitely.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Agree.
Nice. All right, my number 2. Settle in, kids. This one might be a minute.
relax a
little
bit.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
What? No way.
I bet you're surprised it's not my number 1.
I'm just surprised it's on the list.
All right, Buffy technically had 2 series finales. I'm gonna go with the last one, season 7. So, okay, if you don't know, a Slayer is chosen, 1 per generation. She's empowered with strength and stamina and all of that, and the skills she needs to fight vampires, demons, and the forces of evil. Now, season 7 is happening. She is fighting what they call the first, literally the first evil. It has the ability to take the form. It doesn't have like an actual like corporeal form, but it could like take the form of any dead person. It is raising an army. It's opening up the Hellmouth and an army of what they refer to as basically the Neanderthal version of vampires. So they're like these super vampires. Buffy fought one and it damn near killed her. She had to try several times just to take it out. And a whole army of these things are coming. And what the first is doing is it wants to wipe the Slayers off the face of the planet. So there is one Slayer who's born. When a Slayer dies, the next one is called. But in order for that to happen, there are potential Slayers, those who can be called, but depending on how things play out, might or might not. The first finds a way to identify all these girls. And by the way, these are all teenage girls, so it's actually quite horrifying. And it goes around the world and starts murdering all of them. So the remaining members of the Watchers Council get every single potential Slayer they could find and just send them to Buffy's house in California. And she's like, what the fuck's going on? So she inadvertently starts training an army, all these girls, to fight this evil. Now, none of these potentials have superpowers. They're just regular people. And most of them, they do a really good job of portraying how fucking terrified they are, because none of them knew what about any of this until these monsters started coming trying to kill them. So they're making one final stand at the Hellmouth, and it's Buffy, Faith, who's another Slayer who does have powers, and a bunch of, human girls fighting these monsters, and they are getting overwhelmed. They are getting destroyed. But the ace in the hole that Buffy has is Willow, who is a witch, her best friend, is casting a spell using the scythe, which is an ancient weapon endued with the power of the Slayer. She casts a spell that grants every single potential the power of the Slayer. So you have this amazing sequence when they're on death's door where all of a sudden the power hits every single one of them and then they start fighting back. But it cuts to this great fucking scene where Buffy's giving like the monologue, like the speech before they go into battle, saying how every single woman who ever thought that she wasn't enough, who's ever been hurt, who's ever been beat, who's ever been told they were nothing, who's ever been told they can't do it. And it cuts to like this chick who's getting beat on by like her dad. It cuts to this chick who's like playing softball or whatever. And then it shows the wave of power hitting them. and the chick hits a home run just straight out the park. The chick is getting abused, catches her dad's fist, breaks it, and then like rises up to start wailing on him. And then all of them fight together to force this thing back. And it's like this crazy, awesome, like empowering message that like if you have the power within you, you can be this. Like you are worth something. And then, you know, they fight everything back. By the way, the town goes to shit. It gets swallowed in the fucking hellmouth. Spike dies, kinda. It's really sad. Other main characters die. But at the end of the show, Buffy's alive. Most of the cast is alive. And they're like staring at this big empty crater of like what happened, and they're just like, holy shit, like what are we gonna do now? Like we stopped the apocalypse. But Willow the witch is like, I could feel them. She's like, I can feel thousands of them all over the world getting the power, and like they don't know what the fuck's going on. Like what are we gonna do? And it just ends with Buffy smiling. Now, spoilers, the story has been continued in the comics where she gets an army of these slayers to continue to fight evil, but that's neither here nor there. The show ended on a very upbeat, very positive note with a very great message, and was a very fitting end to probably my favorite show of all time.
Nice, good job.
Thank you.
Okay, my number 2 is a little show about Sam Crow, Sons of Anarchy Motorcycle Club, Redwood Originals. It's outlaw motorcycle club, doing outlaw motorcycle club things. One of them is guns. They're trying to get out of guns. They've spent the whole series trying to get out of guns.
Trying a lot of long time.
But the guns, they can't get away from guns. They're dealing guns, doing all kinds of criminal stuff, like they do, doing with all kinds of other outlaw organizations, dealing with the shady side of society, drug dealers, people that promote prostitution. And at one point they've started their own porn movie company and doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Forgot about that.
But there's a story about Jackson, the star of the show. He's got a horrible mother who's great. What's her name?
Gemma.
Peg Bundy.
Peg Bundy.
Gemma Teller.
Gemma Teller, who she's a great actress in everything she's in.
Yeah, she is.
Katie Seagal.
Yeah, I love everything that she does, and she's a really good bad person in this series. And
she was so good in that.
It was. And so the end of it, it's him. He finally comes to term. He finally realizes that his dad wasn't about all this bad stuff. And
yeah, Al just wanted to sell shoes, man. And he starts realizing that he got drug into all this, and he's always been conflicted through all this. He's kind of this guy who's an outlaw and a bad guy, but he doesn't really want to do the bad thing all the time. And so he winds up I think what kind of does him in is he kills the president of another chapter of the organization, and he starts decides that he's come to terms with what he needs to do. So he goes on a killing spree and kills a whole bunch of the bad people throughout this entire series that needed to be killed. And so the police are after him. He decides in the vote with the motorcycle club that he's going to have to meet Mr. Mayhem, which means he's going to have to die. And he says he just wants one thing. He's cool with that. He's accepting what happened. This motorcycle club wouldn't allow black people into their club for the whole thing, and that's one of the things he changes at the end with the whole charter. Is he makes them agree that to be accepting and not to get away with that. And so a friend of his gets to join the club, and he goes out, and after he's killed all these people, he meets up with his club, and they're all sad that he's got to leave and he's got to die, and they're not happy about this. And he helps them decide who's going to be the president, the vice president, and he decides that he can't have them kill him, as he couldn't put that on them, so he's going to do it all in his own terms. So in the last scene, he's riding away. He probably doesn't even know exactly what he's going to do when he's leaving. And so earlier he had to go kill his mom, so he killed his mom too. That was kind of a thing, but she had that stuff coming. And so he I like how that's the Cliff Notes. Oh, you murdered his mom.
Yeah, he murdered his mom.
By the way, yeah.
And so so he's driving down the highway. He's got every police officer that's ever not only in all of what's the name of the town, Charming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Charming. And so he's got every police officer there, and then the rest of the entire state and maybe country all following him down the highway, and he's driving along like I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so then next thing you know, there's a tractor trailer rig coming towards him, and he decides, this is how I'm going out. And so he throws his arms into the air and just smashes right into the front of the tractor trailer, and that's how he dies, and that's the end of the series.
Poor truck driver.
I know.
Fucking dude's traumatized.
I know.
Well, no, that was
Right?
the guy from The Shield.
Oh, he's fine then.
He had it coming. No, he wasn't that character in there, but it's weird because that was the same guy that made that show, and there's a lot of crossover between those two shows.
A lot
in
of
here,
the characters
but it's
were
weird that he doesn't crossover as the same character. But anyways, so yeah, it would be traumatic if he wasn't such a bad character on the show.
If he wasn't also a bad person. Like, everybody in that show is a bad person.
I loved that show. I hated that final scene.
See, I think this is on a lot of lists of terrible finales.
Yes.
But again, one that's very divisive.
Yeah.
So.
I just hated that final scene. I hated because number one, I still am not over Opie's death, which I felt like because he did that for the good of the club, and his friends, that was kind of it was a horrifying way for him to die. But Jack's I just felt like that was, for him to be able to do it on his own terms and everything. I don't know if I liked that.
Well,
What, you would have rather that he got killed by somebody else?
Well, and it also echoes the way his dad died. So it's supposed to be like
I
this
feel
full
like
circle.
maybe
He
if
wanted
he
to die
died
'cause-
saving a baby or something, there would be
No,
like
he's
a
just going to leave
redemption
his two
story.
babies with the former crackhead. That's going to end well.
Yeah, but he also didn't want them to get drug into the
life.
motorcycle, get the life.
No, he had to die. I agree that he had to die, but just the smashing into the truck.
Do you know, for me, I love the way that ended. I wouldn't have wanted to live some other way because it was him taking full control of the situation. It wasn't just chance or this thing happened. It was him making the decision. I love the way it ended.
Yeah, because you know what? Like, if he kept living, spoilers, probably wasn't going to end well anyway, right?
No,
Like,
I didn't want him to keep living, but I wanted him to have like some kind of redemption. Like I said, die saving a baby.
I see what you're
That would
saying.
make
Him
me
dying
happy.
that way was, I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it. That was my number 2.
All right, guys, getting into the number ones.
All
Number
right.
one.
I do think it's very interesting. Captain Mal, you brought this up. It is very interesting how divisive series finales can be because it teeters on how much of an emotional connection we have with the show, and that's a very interesting.
And you're never
thought.
going to please everybody.
Exactly.
So,
That too.
So I feel like if you just get an emotional reaction, even if someone hates it, at least you're making them feel something.
And I think that's really what makes a good finale. And with that, my number 1 is The Office. So I don't know what kind of I don't know what kind of grown up that was supposed to be. I don't know. Like, was that?
Yeah, for you audio listeners, the face Hailstorms made was Sad Panda.
Aw.
Well,
But also proud mama.
Oh, yeah.
well, I chose The Office because I don't know, them coming back together, and maybe this is also because I'm at the end of my senior year of high school where I'm kind of feeling, I'm stepping into a new chapter of my life. And that chapter is coming very abruptly because I have an exact time, an exact date as to when that chapter ends and the new chapter starts. And kind of having to say goodbye to all my friends, it is a little bit hard. So The Office, watching this community, this cast of characters who were so different and so, it's hard to describe.
I think I know what you're going for because we're old as shit, so we've all been in a very similar position. So you're watching a group of characters that had this dynamic that went on for so long. You feel like this is what life is, and despite a lot of them wanting things not to change, wanting everything to stay the same, shit just starts changing. People start moving on, and it's not in your control. So for the finale to have basically the core cast come together one more time to at least say goodbye and end with some form of closure, you're at the point in your life where that's hitting you right in the feels because it's parallel to what the hell you're going through.
I can relate very well to that, and just them coming back together, brings it definitely. it just brings emotion to
Did
me.
it hit you in the feels?
It got you in the feels.
It got
Yeah.
me right in the feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's all. Yeah. That's The Office is my number one.
Makes total sense.
Yeah. So
Nice.
that's my number one.
All
Aw.
right, Hailstorms. Suck it up. Don't cry.
All right.
Proud mama bear.
Proud mama. Proud mama. Okay. So my number one is also my favorite show. It is the
Tick?
the series finale of Arrested Development.
Nice.
But the series finale of season 3, which is its original run on, what was it, Fox?
Yeah, before it got brought back, right?
Right, before it got brought back, which again, I reiterate that I feel like with very, very few exceptions, once a show dies, you have to let it die, no matter how sad and horrible it is that it died. Because when you bring it back, it's like Pet Sematary. It's a version, but it's not the same thing.
Or it's like digging up a skeleton and playing with
Right.
like a puppet.
Exactly,
It's
like
just
making
not,
it.
It's
Yeah,
not the
That's
same.
weird.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
yeah, it's weird. It's weird that you went right there.
It's just
But-
the image that was in my head. I'm sorry.
Right. So, I thought the series finale of Arrested Development season 3 was actually really a good bookend to the series. Yes, the series ended too soon. It only had 3 seasons, good seasons, but they still closed it up. And leading up to it, they kind of got the feeling they were going to be canceled. So there were a lot of in jokes where they kept making little side references to, well, if people would only watch, or, you know, little side jokes about it. But the series finale just was awesome. Lindsay finds out she's adopted and 3 years older than she thought she was. And there's all these things with, you know, the world's coming crashing down, and it's awesome. I just like it. I think it was a good way to end the series. I think when they brought it back, they lost a lot, because when they brought everybody back, they all had moved on to other projects. They couldn't all be in the same room at the same time. So it was more telling individual stories. It wasn't them playing off of each other the way they did originally. Portia de Rossi had significant plastic surgery in the interim, and so she was almost unrecognizable when they brought it back, which wouldn't be out of character for her character, except for that they didn't totally bring it up. But still,
Could have made like
I
a
think,
comical reference there.
right? Because
Right.
it totally would have worked with her.
You've had a lot of work done. I mean, that's all you
Right, right.
Excuse me,
What
am I
the
the only one in
hell?
the room that knows you had a lot of work done?
Right.
And she could have just been like, lol.
Right. But yeah, I loved that show. It was such a witty show. I thought the way they ended it was incredibly witty, and it didn't tie everything up with a neat bow, but it was in character with the way the show went.
Nice.
So that's my number one.
Awesome. All right, my number one series finale of all time. The Buffy spinoff Angel. Now, Buffy as a whole is a better show, but you could argue that season 5 of Angel is as good as any standalone season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But the reason that I put this finale ahead of Buffy's is because never have I seen a show that's core underlining message and principle was so well embodied in its finale. So basically the message, so Angel, what it is he's a vampire who is cursed with a soul. So he actually feels remorse and pain for all the evil shit that he's done. So it's a story about redemption. It's a story about him trying to be a good person and save people and, like, you know, earn, you know, the right to be redeemed. And so in doing so, the main antagonist throughout the entire show is this evil supernatural law firm called Wolfram and Hart, that the senior partners are basically elder god demons, and they have an embodiment. Their representatives on Earth are called the Order of the Black Thorn. Now, these are very, very gnarly evil demons that represent and manage basically all the evil that happens in the world. Angel basically pretends to be evil again to get into this group to see who the true faces of evil are on the planet. But in doing so, there's a prophecy that he's fighting for that says the vampire with the soul will stop the apocalypse and get his soul back and become human. That's what he's fighting for. In order to prove his loyalty, he has to sign that away in his blood. So there's no reward for him anymore. There's no reason for him to do the right thing anymore. But he gets his group of guys together, his team. And basically, so the message in Angel is, if nothing we do matters, then all that matters is what we do. So in the show, he says we now have the opportunity. We could take out every single member of the Order of the Black Thorn. And the argument to this is, that's great. There'll be new members tomorrow, the Wolfworm Horde, these evil god demons, they're too big for anybody to ever stop. We're going to die on this suicide mission. Even if we live, they're going to send people to kill us right away. There's no way we're dying tomorrow if we do this. What's the point? The point is to stand up to them, to show them that people are always going to fight. No matter how bad things get, how much of a control they have, you can never take away somebody's ability to stand up and do the right thing. What they're going to do matters in that moment, even if it doesn't in the grand scheme of things. That's the message of the show. They go and they take out every single member of the Order of the Black Thorn. Several of them die throughout this process in super emotional moments. The remaining members, Angel included, meet in an alley. Lights are fading, like it's night, it's raining, everybody's fucked up, everybody's wounded, earthquakes start happening, you see a legitimate army of like demon warriors start rushing to them, you see a dragon flying across the sky, like they literally opened up the mouth of hell to send everything at them, and they're about to die. As they're standing there, ready to die, ready to fight, all they say is, Spike says to Angel, what are we gonna do? And Angel's like, I kind of want to slay the dragon. Swings the sword, show ends. Just straight cuts to black. Doesn't really show you what happens, but you lead to infer, oh, they died fighting. They died being heroes. They died being champions. All that mattered was what they did in that moment to stand up and do the right thing. That's why that show's ending is so amazing to me. So, Angel is my number one.
Nice. All right. My number one is Battlestar Galactica. This is a really, really, really deep series that I don't think people realize how good it was. I don't run around talking about it all the time, but it's probably, if not my favorite, one of my very favorite sci-fi series. And of course, I think the original one started, I think, in the 70s when I was a kid, and it was pretty straightforward. You know, the robots, like it's going to happen to us, they take over the world and chase human beings off of planet Earth. Or actually, I don't think they're from planet Earth. Actually, they're not. Take that back, because that's going to be a big thing at the end here. They're not from planet Earth. They're from their planet. Robots chase them off. They're chasing them down, the Cylons, and they chase them all through the universe, trying to kill them. So it's basically the humans fighting for survival against clear bad robots. Now, this is where we come to the reboot of Battlestar Galactica. This is a way deeper and more complex concept where starts out the same. Human beings make robots. Robots take over the Earth, chase them off, or take over their planet, chase them off of their planet in groups of ships, trying to find somewhere else to live and how to survive. But these Cylons get to where they've become, I don't know what you call it, advanced to where they become human being look like, so that you can't even tell the difference. So not only do they look like human beings, you can't tell that they're not human beings. Many of them, you find out throughout the series, don't know that they're Cylons. So they're in with the rest of the people in the Battlestar, and they are Cylons, and they don't know it. They think that they're like everybody else. And so it's way deep, where instead of just this being cold robots and this, they each believe in their higher powers. The humans have several gods that they believe in. The Cylons have a god that they believe in. A lot of this has this religious stuff behind it. They feel, so it's a lot of stuff where you can relate to, if you're a religious person or you believe in higher powers, how that can make you, be an overwhelming thing for you to make you feel like you're right and you're doing the right thing. The funny thing is, the Cylons develop so much that where we have our ships are mechanical, they get to where their ships are almost organic. So they're almost like living things of organic matter. So it's like they turn to almost the opposite. We're almost fighting the opposites. And they, towards the end of this series of people not knowing who they are, whether they even are Cylons, they all think they're fighting for the right thing. the humans are just trying to find some way to survive and find a place to go. They finally have a big battle. They agree at the end that they're all going to stop fighting each other. The Cylons agree they're going to go off and do whatever and call it quits. And the humans find Earth. Okay, so it's almost like a biblical thing where they're looking for the promised land, and they find Earth. They go there immediately. Their knee-jerk reaction is to start building cities and start creating this planet in the image of their old planet. And then they realize the people, the inhabitants of this, the people, the natives of planet Earth don't even have language yet. They're super primitive. So they all decide they're going to go to separate parts of it. They're going to try to blend in. They're going to just become part of this planet. They're not going to have super fancy high-tech stuff. They're just going to live. You know, they all start saying that they're going to try to start teaching these people that live on this planet language and stuff. So they probably help speed that stuff along. But it's a very good ending to this, where this whole series of this ends with them finally getting what they had been searching for all along. And it is planet Earth. So it's very interesting that it ends that way. And then we all know, though, that the Cylons are coming back now, sometime in our future, and they're going to try to wipe us out again. So everybody be ready. That's number 1 Battlestar Galactica.
Does the old series and the new series tie in, or is it a reboot?
They do not. They do not. They're two. It's basically a reboot. Okay. So it's basically a restart of that same type of a story, but they take it in so much further.
Nice.
Yeah.
I, for one, would like to welcome our new Cylon overlords and let you guys know that when the time comes, I will sell the human race out hard.
I know you will.
Hard. But yeah, that is our top 5 series finales of all time. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Tell us your top 5 series finales of all time. Tell us how wrong we were. But now...
All right. We could be right.
Now we're probably wrong. Weapon 2. What time is it?
It is time for a little segment we like to call This or That.
Ooh, what do we like to do? I think do we play a game with this? What do we do?
We like to start saying this or that. And there's a goal. I mean, I really don't know what the goal is. The goal is to go faster.
Speed
and
Force.
Something's going to happen.
The goal
Speed
is
Force.
the Speed Force.
Break into another dimension. Something's going to happen. So I'm starting around this.
Or.
That.
This.
Or.
That.
This.
Or.
That.
Or. I didn't lose it this time. It was Hailstorm. Hailstorm lost
You're
this
the
time.
weak link this time.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll give
right.
up on that one.
Oh.
It was me.
Okay, folks. Number 1, vampire hunting. What? Are you with me? Keep up here. Taking wood stakes through the heart and exposure to the sun off the table. Okay, follow? Mm-hmm. Which is the best weapon against vampires? Garlic, holy water, crosses, silver. Feel free to add one of your own.
Flamethrower. Light those motherfuckers up.
Think it's the best thing?
I feel like it would kill
Very
them
effective?
the fastest.
I don't know. Can't they like heal?
Not if you light them on fire. Fire tradition club. But if not, if we're negating flamethrower, I'm going silver.
Okay, silver.
Yep.
So which do we take off the table?
We took off direct exposure to sunlight and a stake through the heart.
Ah, dang it.
Yeah.
Or decapitation.
Sunlight's my
Decapitation somehow.
Oh, your decapitation?
With my silver.
That's a good one to enter. I see. Okay.
I mean, decapitation's pretty good because that lends you to a lot of different ways.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say a cross, but I think decapitation.
But a cross
Okay.
doesn't kill them, though. It just burns them and hurts them. And
Well, I mean, how quickly do you want them to die?
as fast
Are
as
we
possible.
speaking numbers, or are we?
No, I just don't want him to murder me. So
Did we take water off the table?
No, holy water is one of the options.
yeah,
Yeah.
not like salt water. Like
I'm
cold
just
water.
thinking about all the my favorite vampire movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, if you want to be like a dick move, is like we fill up like a kiddie pool of holy water, and then I get down on all fours behind the vampire, and you shove him, and he trips over me into the pool of holy water.
That's good for one at a time in it.
And if they
But I
lie,
was
and they're
thinking-
very polite.
I was thinking about From Dusk Till Dawn when you have like a whole bar full, what you can do. And in my head, I was thinking of putting holy water on the sprinkler system because that would be fun to do like everybody at once. But I feel like that requires a lot of.
Can we talk about how awesome that fucking movie is?
I love that
God, that's a
movie.
good movie.
So
You
love
have a
that
priest
movie.
blessing the constant flow
That
of
is
water.
a good movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about you, Soul Star? What do you think?
Okay, bear with me.
Okay.
He's getting creative.
So I've got a gun, and it's got silver bullets loaded into it, and it's got an underbarrel squirt gun with holy water in
Oh.
it, and the sights on it are a cross.
No.
Oh boy!
What?
This
I
guy
feel
getting
like-
clever.
Oh, nice.
Has this come up before for you?
No, it's pretty simple. I just
That's off the top,
combine everything together.
Dude, if the vampires come, you're on our team.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna go with lots of containers full of holy water and super soakers full of holy water. A lot of holy water.
Was
flying
that Super
everywhere.
Soakers full of holy water? Was that reminiscent of the Lost Boys?
Well, that's yes. The what are they? Frog Brothers.
Frog
or whatever?
Brothers.
Yeah. Yes, but also that's what I would do.
That does seem to be the most efficient. Like,
Yeah.
because that's
Get that
basically
stuff
just
sprayed
that's
everywhere.
acid. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's
and
just,
it's not going to hurt anybody else. So you can have holy water raining down on you, unlike a flamethrower. You're not going to accidentally cut your own head off or your
Or-
friend's head off, and that's not going to hurt you, but it's going to hurt them.
or like in the Dresden Files, Harry gets a paintball gun, but the paintballs are specially made that are a like garlic and like silver compounds and holy water. So when they explode, it's basically blowing chunks out of them. Again, wouldn't harm another person.
Right.
So
Science.
yeah.
I like that.
Science the shit out of that. I think Soulstar wins this round though. Not that we're
does.
keeping
I
score,
think
but that
he
was
did.
that was
Yeah.
Thank
quite
you very
clever.
much. Thank you.
He covered a few bases on that one.
All right, people. Number 2. Superpowers. Okay. In this scenario, you do not know what your powers will be, only that you will get superhuman capabilities. Would you choose to go to another solar system to see what the effects their sun would have on you as an alien? Would you put your trust in the government and volunteer for a scientific serum? Or take your chances with purely accidental radiation or chemical exposure? Of course, you could choose to simply train really, really hard and hone your top-level fighting and weapons capabilities instead. But can't you already do that if you really wanted to?
Okay, so
What?
just so we're clear,
Yeah.
whatever option we choose isn't going to kill us. We're just going to get an unknown, whatever the hell power.
You're going to get
Right.
a power, you just don't know what it is.
Right.
So just because you're going to another solar system doesn't mean you're going to be
You're
Superman.
not. Yeah, you can get anything. Same thing with the experiments, but it's not going to kill you. Okay.
Right. So one of them is you're going to another solar system.
Right.
You're going to be a stranger, an alien, and you're going to take your chance and see what their sun does. The next one is you're going to put your trust in the government. They have something figured out, and they're going to do what they want to do with you. The other one is purely chance. You just accidental.
So there's three
radiation.
choices.
Or you
Yeah.
train to be like Batman.
or just you could be a superhero now too. Just train like
I'm going
Batman.
3. Number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Okay. Would you go radiation or chemical exposure if you had your choice?
Yeah.
I mean, does the chemical exposure have like burning face or
You
anything
don't-
like
you
those?
don't know.
You don't know.
I mean,
There's
I
probably
don't
some
know
pain
my
involved.
You might be
superpower.
There's always some
disfigured.
pain involved.
I mean, you could be like the Thing. Like you could be like technically disfigured,
You
but
don't
get some
know.
powers. You don't know what's
Can
going to
don't know what's
the
gonna be.
chemical be just like I'm in the room and somebody mixes bleach with ammonia or something?
You don't
It
know.
could be.
I don't want it like thrown on me.
It might be thrown on you. You don't know.
Then-
You're being picky.
You
can't
are being
send
picky.
these guidelines.
Hey, hit me with those gamma rays, bro. Let's just see what
Okay,
happens.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Soulstar, how about you?
Okay, so
Oh my god.
So I believe I'm gonna go with number 2, and my reasoning is I personally believe that if you engineer your superpowers, or in this hand, the government engineers your superpowers, you're gonna get a lot cooler stuff because they have an intent. Their intent is to make you the best soldier possible, or whatever they're gonna do.
He has a
But
point.
if you're just with number 3, if it just stumbles onto you, it could be something dumb like.
Like radioactive
can-
spider.
But the government could also like take away your free will and
They
just
could.
make. So you're
They
still
could.
rolling
I'm
the dice.
Superhuman. I'm superhuman. I'll take my chances with being able
mean-
to. I mean, if they lock me up, maybe I got super strength. I'll just bend the bars, get out.
That's a good point. Like you're rolling the dice no matter what you're doing.
He's really made me rethink this.
I hear you. I'm going accidental too. I'm going to take either the radiation or the chemical spill, whichever one happens.
Yeah.
I'm taking
I feel like that's the way to go.
Going with that. Chance. I'm taking chance.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Number 3. Given the choice, would you rather be teenage, mutant, ninja, or turtle?
Good one.
It's so simple.
Did you come up with this on your own?
Yes. I come up with all these on my own.
I know, but that one's extra funny.
That was
And
pretty
that's
good.
why I take responsibility when you guys go, what the hell is that one all about? I take responsibility.
You should call and give that to another podcast.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna go. Turtles are totes adorbs, but I don't want to be a turtle. I've been a teenager, and that's cool. But I'm fine being older. I want to be a ninja. I want to be a 33-year-old ninja with a bad knee. Just it's gonna pop every time I throw a roundhouse kick.
I'm going mutant.
Yeah, that's tough because there's so much background information. If I'm a teenager, is it like I live forever as a teenager?
Oh shit, that's a good question. Yeah, do I get to be 18-year-old Vic
Well,
forever?
I guess there's no guidelines here, so I guess if you're choosing teenager, I guess if you're a mutant, you're always a mutant, right?
But you don't know what kind
if
of
you're
mutant.
a ninja, you're always a ninja, right?
Right.
I guess if you're a teenager, you're always a teenager.
Okay, I'm not even going to question the rest. I'm just going to stay a teenager forever.
I would like to change my answer. Could I also? I just want to remember what it's like to have a good knee.
Because if you're a turtle, you're going to stay a turtle.
What kind of turtle? Talking snapping turtle? We
you
talking
pick
like
your
a
favorite type of turtle.
like a green leatherback?
Box turtle,
Whatever.
whatever you want to be.
Wait, am I an immortal turtle?
What's that?
I'm a turtle forever. Am I an immortal
None
turtle?
of this says anything about immortality, because even if you were a teenager, you might still die a teenager someday.
That's true. That is true.
There's no immortality promise.
Well,
But
you
you've said-
keep changing it.
I haven't changed shit.
Could I be a Galapagos tortoise?
That's not a. Is that a turtle?
No,
Or is that
that's a
well, then
tortoise.
I don't know. Can I be
It's
a
a close
snake?
relative.
No. Oh my god! Oh boy!
Do I have
Folks,
a turtle? Do I have a turtle brain?
Can you see what it's like sometimes? You see what's going on here? I'm going to be a mutant, Marvel type mutant. I'm going to take whatever mutant powers I can get.
Wait, so we can choose how this?
Yeah,
hypothetical
dude,
is?
you're changing. This is very malleable.
No, it's a mutant. So what are we going to say? There's no definition of mutant. I'm telling you, you can be. I let you be any type of turtle you want to be. I told you you could be. You could be a teenager until the day you died. I'm being pretty open with this.
You are being pretty
so when I say
loosey-goosey
you're
with the
a
rules.
Mutant, isn't there the first thing that comes to mind when you say mutant? Most people go, "Oh,
X-Men.
mutant and Marvel." So I'm going to say, yeah, I'll be whatever.
I
mutant
hope
that is.
you become
I didn't pick a power. I said I'll be a mutant.
I hope if you're rolling the dice on mutant, you become just a giant teenage turtle who's not a ninja.
All right, thanks.
Just a pretty good podcaster.
I hope you become a turtle that gets run over in the middle of the street because it's not fast enough to get out of the way. That's what I hope happens
dark.
to you.
Yeah. Have you
That
seen?
was bad knee.
Holy
Have you
shit!
seen
Yeah,
Planet Earth? That's so sad.
very hurtful.
And I hope you don't live past being a teenage turtle.
You know what? The beauty of you being the one that edits this, you can take that out.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
leave it there unless you're scared. If you're scared,
Let's just skirt.
if you're scared, then you can
You
edit
know
it
what?
out.
The thing about that is that you'll never remember that it was in there, so he can take it out and it won't even matter.
All right, number 4.
He's feeling
You are-
salty.
You are an action hero.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
what kind of action hero? 80s, 90s? What
As an action hero, you are an expert at fighting and weaponry of your time.
Yeah.
Did you put a D in there?
Yeah, I did. I added a D.
Weaponry.
Yeah. Would you rather be that hero 1,000 years ago with swords, shields, arrows, and spears, today with guns, explosives, and war machines, or 1,000 years in the future, spaceships and future stuff?
I mean, if you even kind of know me 1,000 years ago, yeah, I want the
We
swords.
know,
Let's
we
do
know,
it.
We know.
I don't know. I feel like the armor isn't as good, and the 11th century.
Well, that's the
It
thing. So
really-
he said 1,000 years ago. So yeah,
Right.
11th century. If I could pick, I want to be a 15th century badass because I want
Definitely.
full plate armor and long. But he
Right,
said
but that's not
1,000
a
years.
choice.
So we're thinking Viking era. So that's still, you can still be pretty cool.
You
Rocking
could be
some
Uhtred
chainmail of
the Bull.
Bebemba.
Yeah, Uhtred of Bebenbeg. Yeah.
But again, is this something that we kind of get to?
Do we have
Is
our
it
modern
random?
knowledge? Like, do we know everything we know
Oh,
now?
that too.
Because that's gonna help.
I am going to say that no, you know what you know of the time.
Oh, that's still. If I'm the most badass warrior rocking around, though, that's still pretty cool.
But I mean, you don't know if you're going to be a Viking.
No,
you could be,
you're just in that era, but they use
Right.
the
But
same
what
weapons.
you know is you're going to be good at fighting,
Right.
and you're going to be the star of the show
Right.
when that stuff goes
So
down.
whoever
You're
I
still a
side with,
superhero,
I'm
right?
still gonna be bad. You're just a
You're
super
an action
badass.
hero with all the skills.
action
the
hero.
You're fucking John McClane
cool
in whatever era.
Yeah. So, Hailstorm's already in space, so I think I'm just going to stick with that.
Okay.
Do I still get my little raccoon friend and my squirrel friend?
If they're around, we don't know. We don't know what's happening 1,000 years in the future. If they exist, sure.
They do, okay? Done.
Okay. Oh my god. All right.
That's tough.
That was a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
If she gets a flying raccoon, then I want dragons to be real. When I'm a Viking guy.
You're an action hero. Write that in.
Yeah. I don't know what contract we're negotiating here, but I want dragons. Soulstar?
I'm going to cross off nowadays because we live in a very peaceful time. And if I'm going to be this badass action hero, I better be
There's
able
a lot of parts of the world that aren't that peaceful.
Well, it is a more peaceful time in the history of humanity.
But he wants to be like a good guy action
Yeah.
hero. You can't really do that now and just go start wrecking motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back in time to when I can just start like slashing.
You gonna go Viking it out with me?
Yeah,
Let's
I'm
do
gonna
it.
Viking
Yeah.
out.
Are you guys going to create your own action hero team?
Yeah.
What are you going to call it?
The world's greatest. Duh.
The world's greatest clan.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Smart. Good thinking.
I'm going back. I'm going back 1,000 years.
Look at
We're
you
at- yeah.
three.
Yeah.
Look at you three badass action hero, world's greatest clan.
Fun. I mean, that's when you get the glory.
Yeah. That's the life, man.
And
Okay.
and you get to read about us in history.
Yeah.
So
All right.
I'd be like, I knew them.
Exciting.
I was cool.
Fair enough.
All right, people. This is the last one. This is number 5. Sometimes people are excited that we're at the end, and sometimes they're sad. I don't know how you're feeling.
I
but
wish
here
we could just
go.
keep going.
Number 5. You can go on an all-expense paid vacation for a year in one of these places in the Marvel Universe. The country of Wakanda, the realm of Asgard, or the planet Xander.
Asgard, come on.
Okay, I would go Asgard.
Yeah.
Asgard. Yeah.
Asgard.
Yeah.
Asgard.
Okay, all
Sorry.
across the board.
No,
Sorry,
Asgard.
friend.
Yep.
T. Crowley be like, Spider-Verse?
Xander's out of space, man. That's cool. That's where the Nova Corp is. But anyways,
Asgard.
here we go. All right,
right.
I guess that's it.
So that was it. That was our this and that. Weapon 2, that was your 4th best.
Oh, thanks.
This or that. Considering we've done 20 of these, counting the Lost episode, that's pretty good. That's top 5.
Thanks.
Nice
folks.
work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The
Hailstorms.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one was
That was good
pretty
shit.
amazing.
Yeah. That
I
was
was
good.
kind of proud of that one
Yeah.
when it popped in my head. I was like, oh, that's a good one.
Hailstorms. Update us quickly on the social medias.
Social media, we are still on Facebook. In fact, should I say?
I mean,
that
by the
we
time you
are-
say it, it'll have
it'll
happened
be
already.
over,
Yeah.
but it is worthy to note that we have started, not always, but we've started considering doing Facebook Live after we record the podcast.
Right.
So we are going to do one tonight. Obviously, by the time the
We'll
podcast
see how it
comes
goes.
out, it's not going to matter, but it's worth knowing that you might be able to catch one if you watch us on Facebook or Instagram, because we'll announce them ahead of time.
But at this point, you will be able to go back through our feed on the Facebook page and actually watch the video, because I will make it
True.
public after it happens.
Okay.
So you can
Correct.
you can still watch it.
yeah.
Nice.
See all the awesome interactivities. But yeah, so Instagram still going strong.
Instagram is still going strong. We are on Patreon if anybody wants to support us by making a contribution. Patreon works so that you can go on there and support the artists that create content that you like. Typically, most artists have very small or varied levels that you can contribute at. I think we have what, 3, 5, and 10?
3.
We have
Three,
what?
five,
$3, $5, $10. Yep.
$3, $5, and $10 a month. Each level comes with its own perks that go with it. So that's something you can check out at Patreon.
One of the cool things with the Patreon too is we're going to be showing you guys when we actually start using the money to buy things for it. Everything that we get from Patreons, we are going to use for the channel. So we haven't exactly solidified the first thing we're going to do, but we're talking about maybe using that money to buy a green screen to start helping with our skits. And when we buy that, we're going to upload a video showing us setting it up, basically showing you guys where your money is going towards, and that we are actually using it to improve the channel, let you guys like see the contributions that you're making and how much you're helping us out and all that. So whatever we purchase with the Patreon money, you will see what the direct result and the improvement in the channel is because of that. So you guys are awesome, all 5 of you.
We definitely appreciate our patrons. It has been nice feeling that support. I mean, we've had so much support from so many different places, but these are actually people putting their money.
Yeah. And that's not nothing right now in this time. That's impressive.
Not at all. It's really great. One of the things that we send to the patrons at the $10 level is we send them stickers every month. That's been fun to do.
And we got new Captain Mouse stickers. Just saying. I'll put an image of it right here.
And some of you have already gotten them. So, yeah. And so, I was going to say something, and now I can't remember because I'm old. I think it was going to be good. Something good to say about
I know
this.
it
Was
was
it
going to be
about
good.
the social media?
Patreon.
It was
Facebook Live.
I don't
Poor
know.
thing.
I can't remember. It
Poor
might
little
come to me.
fella.
Yeah, I'm just doing the best I can.
You're so money. You don't even know how money you are, baby. All right. But yeah, so social media is going. Everything's, contribute. Check us out on Facebooks, on the Instagrams. Check out our website, theworldsgreatest.net. All of those great things are managed by our webmaster, Miss Hailstorms. We are all admins on the Facebook page. That's where if you want to interact with us directly, we're pretty good about responding to direct questions and all that kind of stuff. As always, check out the YouTubes where you're hopefully watching this. If you're listening on the audio platforms, you can go check out YouTube. Just search the world's greatest news and reviews will pop up, or go to the website. The links to everything is there. And if you're watching this video, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, any kind of interactivity that you do with the video helps our algorithm and suggests us to other people. We very much appreciate it. No matter how you're listening to this, watching, whatever you're doing, I appreciate you. Just want to let you guys know that. Thank you very much. Soulstar, thank you for coming on. You were awesome. You killed it. Not many come on the show and just nail it right away, but I mean, you come from good stock, so you're being raised right, I think.
Thank you.
Did you have a good time?
I had a pretty good time. This has been a lot of fun.
Nice. Much appreciate you coming. You're welcome to come back anytime. No, you got some real shit to go do, but if anytime you're back and you want to come back on, I think it goes without saying you're more than welcome to. There's a couple of other guys, Kal-El, that we don't know yet what's gonna happen with that.
I'm a huge Kal-El fan.
I am too. I love you, buddy. You did great. But yeah, any closing thoughts, anyone?
I don't think so.
No.
Just make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTubes, and we're going to be giving another good giveaway at 300. So so keep, and anything you do, whether you go to our website and click on things and interact with things, or just everything like he said, liking, commenting, all that stuff. The more you do that for us, it helps us out a lot, and we really appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, guys. And as always, thank you for joining us on this episode of the world's greatest news and reviews. If you've enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications.
Peace.